Number 10 is re-sign C.J. Goodwin. John Fossil saying in this piece, they have a quote, let's face it, his speed and his courage are two things that just make him dangerous. I love that. He's 31 years old, but he's a special teams ace, isn't he?
I think that's, shout out to the special team guys who make a career out of it, because that's what Goodwin's done. He's a dude that when they needed somebody to actually play corner, they were pulling up practice squad guys and putting them on the field before. So they don't trust him playing corner at all. But, boy, if you can run down on kickoff and be on the kick return and the punt return team, you can make a nice little career out of that.
Brian, it sounds like a job that you can't make it to 31 at because you just got to be fast and kind of a maniac.
Yeah, you have to be, and you have to have that football intelligence, the creativity, because you watch tape and you're thinking, okay, how can I beat these two guys off the line? I mean, I can't run out of bounds and come back. So you have to be a little bit of crafty the way you play and things like that. Me personally, if that special teams thing is number 10. I'm bringing back LP Ladouceur instead of CJ. If I could spend money on one guy, I'm bringing back my snapper. And this is not because I'm an old crusty snapper myself, but I just feel like, though, that to me, that was the one job that I don't need any breakdowns on at all. I went through I had a different punter. They've gone through some kickers. There's always something going on. LP Ladouceur has been the one consistent thing. So if you're telling me position 10 is a special teamer, I'm going with LP Ladouceur. I'm sorry.
It's fair point. Fair point. Both are important. I hope they can prioritize both of those, and maybe the squeeze here with the cap number coming down will allow them to do that. Although Goodwin's the minimum is up near $1 million now. He's like $950. He's making $950.
Good player, but yeah.
Okay, number 9 on the list, get Pollard more touches. And look at what Machota has done here, gentlemen. Look at this point he makes. Says Zeke's at his best when he's fresh. Rushed for 96 and scored 2 in the season opener. Rushed for 103, scored a touchdown the week after the bye. Rushed for a season-high 105 in Week 16 after not playing in Week 15 because of injuries. Look at the homework there from Machota. Get Zeke fresher, get more from him.
Okay, I like the way we can do this. Because I'm a Zeke guy.
Me too.
I always have been. And this is a big way to be very pro-Zeke, but also get him off the field. So that's great. Yeah.
I like
the best.
Yeah, what you just did there.
Yeah, try to keep him fresh. Yeah.
Now we can turn him back into the player where another team might say, boy, if they just give him the ball 350 times, they'd really have something amazing there. Why aren't they feeding Zeke anymore? We better trade for him and start feeding him again. He's fresh, too. Could pay off in a lot of ways.
Keep him fresh. Get him up to about 5.5 yards per carry. Flip him for a second-round pick. Now we're cooking. And I'm a Zeke guy.
That's team building right there. Yeah, hey, I'm a huge Zeke fan, too. It's just like nobody comes before the team, though. And if you can maximize assets. Number 8, the Cowboys, a 10-step offseason plan. Sign a veteran backup QB. Saying Dalton should get bigger offers, so if he's gone. Let me ask you this. Would Garrett Gilbert get any interest from you? Do you want to give him a longer look or too risky? You looking to jump in and, I don't know, maybe sign Alex Smith to be your backup or something?
Garrett Gilbert's going to be a league minimum guy, and he only got a very limited opportunity, and I thought that he did as much as he could with it. Played all right. I would be intrigued by that because I fall somewhere in the camp of backup quarterback where I just don't care because odds are it's going to go really poorly and we only have so much money. So let's just bank on our quarterback being healthy. So I like the Garrett Gilbert idea. 2 years, league minimum. Come on in.
I'm going to roll the dice and think that Andy Dalton is not going to get the offer that he wants. And I'm going to think that the 1-year deal with the Dallas Cowboys as a backup being at home is going to be more than it's going to be good enough for him. So I'm banking on he's not going to get the big offer from somebody. I think he's going to come back. I think we're going to try and get him back for a 1-year deal is what we're going to do.
Just hold off on being committed. That is the Cowboy way, the modern-day Cowboy way. We'll just get through the draft.
It is, yeah.
Oh, shoot, if it's on the doorstep at training camp, we don't have a guy, we'll find something that works. Number 7, restructure contracts to make cap space. Now, here's the thing I don't want, John. This idea gives me a stomachache. He's got Tank, he's got Amari, he's got Z-Mart, all good candidates there. Elliott, Collins, Tyron Smith, Jalen Smith, not as good of options. But I think if you're in that situation where you're having to restructure guys, you can do it if your team is super close and your quarterback's like 39 years old. You're like, hell, this might be our last shot. Do it. But if you got a bad defense and an injury-prone offensive line at this point, I want you to hold on to that credit card money and spend it in an off season where it can really take you from like contender to favorite. And I don't think restructuring those guys is going to do that.
What about to make a run with a quarterback on a franchise tag? It's
okay.
Still not in the right spot for it because you do have a lot of work to do on defense. But what if it was our quarterback's on the tag?
This is his final go?
We don't know what we're doing after.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say we don't know what we're doing after.
I'm with you.
But our quarterback's playing on the tag.
Yeah.
And if we flip 3 or 4 switches, we could sign Dalvin Tomlinson to play nose tackle, and we could sign Marcus May to play safety from the Jets. And now I got you a real-life free safety, a real-life nose tackle, and we're going for it with our tag.
Yeah, hey, and we're going to draft a bunch of defensive players as well. That's fine if we're going to restructure everybody, load that thing up, and then in a year or two, cut them all and tank. Cut them all and tank.
Because check it out, we're getting that money right back because that quarterback who's playing on the tag is hitting free agency.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're about to have $40 million cleared up.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some money free.
I'm up for like pushing all the chips in, trying to make it happen, and the other side playing real cheap the next year, taking all the cap hits, and then like every other year have these major cap hits, and be going back and forth like that. I'm fine with that as long as that's part of the plan. But the Cowboys have been trying to go sustainable year after year, no big swings, and. So I don't know if I could trust them to follow that plan through all the way.
That leads me to believe that they're not going to do anything, that they're not interested in flipping switches and going for it. Just by the way they've handled Dak, that doesn't appear to me that they're interested in doing any of those things that Jeff was talking about.
Hey.
And you need to do that with players who are around 26, 27 with high durability, not with guys who are one injury away from maybe being retired and you're sitting there holding a big old bag of dead money with no production. Number 6, get healthy. That one's obvious. Dak and Tyron and Lyle and Zach, very tough year. Unfortunately, it can't be assumed they are going to be better, but it's been a pretty healthy group over the last 7-8 years. Number 5, have an impactful defensive draft. The last 4 drafts have been a disaster other than Van Der Esch and Diggs. In the previous 7 drafts before that on defense, they were finding good players on day 3, lots of them. But they've sort of, ran out of luck or lost their ability to execute there when it comes to drafting defensive guys.
That would be a great thing. That would be a great thing for this team if you could. I mean, the dream is the drafts that set up dynasties, like Seattle. Legion of Boom. What was Chancellor? A 6? Sherman was a 5 or a 4 and a 5, something like that. There's the dream. It was okay when they got Cheeto and Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis and Xavier Woods where they got them. But what changes the course of a franchise is when instead of Anthony Brown, it's Richard Sherman. And instead of Xavier Woods, it's Cam Chancellor. So that's what you need is just some either really good evaluating or a little bit of good luck.
Yeah, this is where day 3 is going to be really, really important. And the thing that I think that's going to help you is you've got the guys that deterred you in day 3 out of the building. The Rod Marinellis and those guys are all somewhere else now. And it's a new coaching staff, Dan Quinn, with him, Joe Vitt. We'll see. We'll see. They have got to figure out something to do in day 3. And this is where your coaches have huge influence on which way the board goes. If those guys can evaluate, you can get some good defenders on day 3.
You're looking at flawed players on day 3, and if you can pick the ones out that are going to fit your system, it can be a huge benefit. And the Cowboys have done a half decent job, with those Anthony Browns and Xavier Woods type of players. They need to get back to doing that, maybe even improving upon that great run that they were on from like 2010 to 2015 in that department. Number 4, get defensive tackle help. Gallimore, Hill, Woods. You might need to spend money and nail some draft picks to really get that thing sorted out. I don't know if they have any long-term answers. I guess Woods is a restricted free agent. You want him back, the human log?
I want him back, but I also want something else there. whether it's free. I don't want Antoine Woods as the starter.
You need some upside.
Yes, I want Antoine Woods as the other guy. Antoine is the guy who rotates in, not the starter. So I would like to see him either spend some money or premier draft capital. Got to get us a fat guy.
How about Marvin Wilson from Florida State?
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm all about that. McNeil from North Carolina State, Sheldon from LSU. These are massive guys that have got ability to play. That one, they're active. McNeil, to me, he's 329 pounds, and he's all over the field at North Carolina State. But Jeff, you got me watching Wilson from Florida State. I think that there's a lot of people that are missing the boat on him. The more film you watch on him, the better he is.
Okay, number 3, new defensive coaches. Get everybody on the same page. It was just a disaster what happened with Mike Nolan, and hopefully Quinn gets them all on the same page. And if there are COVID complications, you can't throw in the towel and be like, oh, man, this virtual learning is weird. We've never done it. Other teams figured it out.
Yeah, pandemic plan. Have one.
Yeah. Number 2, find a playmaking free safety, and that would be awesome if they could. I don't know if you can mandate that in any one-off season just because it's tricky. There's not many of them, as evidenced by the Cowboys' attempts to find one post-Woody has been kind of a circuitous route and a disaster at the same time.
Yeah, and I think there are. It's just a matter of, trying to think of a reasonable way to do this. There will be draft conversations we'll have about free safety. There's a couple of guys in there that potentially could be that guy. It's also probably the best safety year in free agency that I can remember.
True.
If Justin Simmons really hits the market, if Marcus May really hits the market, those guys exist and they're out there for you. They just exist in a place that the Cowboys have not liked to go to, which is the top end of free agency. But if you were desperate and you wanted to go, quote, all in, those players exist in free agency this year, not just the draft.
Yeah, man, I know there's lots of safeties come down the pike, and it seems like every year we talk about them, but they've been so few and far between. The ones that are actually good,
yeah.
It just seems like really, really hard to find one of them. So I don't even know if I want them using a first or second round pick on one of these guys.
Yeah, General, the one guy I hope we can convince you to maybe take is the kid from Central Florida, Grant. He's got some special traits to him as far as a guy that can play back. You could walk him up front. He's physical. He's around the ball. He creates turnovers. He's a really, really tough kid. I think that him, the Washington kid at TCU is another one that Jeff really likes. Holland from Oregon's another kid. I mean, there's some safeties. If they actually go that route, there's some options there. They just have to go to that trough and drink from it.
All right, the number 1 here on John Machota's 10-step offseason plan here for the Cowboys. Sign Dak. Now, Fish has good news on that, okay? Fish has 2 sources over there at the Star that say, should be ready to do a full off season. I don't know about that, okay? We shall see. The proof's going to be in the pudding here. And if that is the case, that Dak is going to be on track to be able to do OTAs, that gives them plenty of time before the July 15th deadline to get the franchise tag ripped up and do a long-term contract. I don't know if I expect it. I don't know if the Cowboys are going to cave on a player who just got hurt and they already weren't sold on and now wants more. He got hurt and him and his agent are coming in walking like, hey, you see that? Pretty awesome, huh? We had 5 games of 400 yards. And the Cowboys are like, yeah, you got a real massive injury here. I mean, that's just the way I see it playing out at this point. So we need to see Dak athletic, going through practices, going through OTAs and minicamps. And from my understanding, based on what was written last week in the Star Telegram and what the whispers are, is that Dak is not going to be ready until training camp is underway for full participation. So there's 2 different basic reports that are happening right there. One, he should be ready for the start of the season. The other one, he should be ready for OTAs. And if he's ready for OTAs, then I think the possibility of a contract before July 15th goes up significantly. But right now I'm not that hopeful. And I tell you what, guys, here's my final point before I hear from you. The silence, the lack of buzz is going to become deafening if it's not already.
I agree. Yeah, I think that, what do we got, 8 more days of this before they got to tag him when when that deadline hits, and I anticipate that we are barreling that direction.
Yeah, no, I think, too, you're in a couple of – does Dak have any reason to practice with? Is he going to sign the tag? When is he going to sign the tag? He waited all the way till July.
How are you going to get him in practice?
Yeah, you're not going to see Dak in OTAs and mini camps and all that stuff like that. Unless he signs that tag, he's not practicing with you. I'm sorry.
He needs to hold that for his leverage.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. There is no reason for him to practice with you until he signs that tag, and then he's going to take it all the way up to the July 15th date. And
then when we get there, when we're in May and June, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, he totally could practice. Everything's fine, but he's not going to because of the holdout and this, that, and the other thing. And I don't know if we're going to get clarity until a deal is done or the season starts.